What are Tennessee's most important games this year on the schedule? Not most difficult, most important. When I say most important, I mean this. The games in which they need to exert the most energy for, the most effort for, in which Josh Heupel and the coaching staff need to pull out all the stops. During a regular season, you have to ration, you have to do triage, you have to say, okay, we have to make some sacrifices here, so we have this ready for here, and we have to do things here, so we have to do ready for here. For instance, when should they rest a player, and when should they start a player, depending on how healthy he is, because it's all the marbles. When should they put all their chips on the table, and when should they not? We're going to play a little hot or cold and determine which games they should put all their chips on the table and which games they should not. And if it's more, or if it's yes, they should put more of their chips on the table, I'm going to say that's hot. If it's a game where they should actually be willing to sacrifice a little bit, either because it's an easy win or because it's just a game that it's not worth trying to win, if it's a sure loss, I'm going to say that's cold. So hot or cold brought to you by Sports Treasures. Again, let's get rolling. This is going to be a fun one. First off, the poll question up: which Tennessee true freshman outside of David Sanders Jr. will have the biggest impact? Travis Smith Jr., Ra Jackson, Isaiah Campbell, or somebody else? Travis Smith Jr. has 41%, Robert Jackson at 41%, Isaiah Campbell at 6%, somebody else at 12%, so 82% say one of the receivers. I'm ending that one, and I'm going to roll with this poll question, and you guys get started. What game should Tennessee exert its most effort trying to win? And we'll go Syracuse, Georgia, Alabama, and Florida. Okay, what game should Tennessee exert the most effort trying to win? Syracuse, not which game is the most difficult, which game do they need to spend the most effort on? So we're going to get started, hot or cold, brought to you by Sports Treasures for each game. And we start with the opener against Syracuse on August the 30th at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta at noon. All right, I'm hot on this. There's already been a publication predicting Syracuse will upset Tennessee this year. I believe that publication, if I'm not mistaken, I'm trying to pull it up now, is Saturday Down South writer Spencer Davis. He predicted 5 upsets for the opening weekend of college football, and he listed Syracuse beating Tennessee as one of his bets. Tennessee has to use a lot of its effort and exert a lot of its energy for Syracuse. That is a much more difficult non-conference game than NC State was last year. Yes, Syracuse loses a lot of talent from last year's team, but Fran Brown is an incredibly good coach. He had a great first season going 10-3 and finishing in the top 25. Fran Brown, I think, is a rising star in this business. Okay, before he was at Syracuse, he was a defensive backs coach at Georgia. He knows what he's doing. Very smart coach. I think Syracuse, honestly, I think this is a really, really, really big deal for them, for Tennessee. And Tennessee needs to make sure that they put this game away. They can't get caught napping on this one. Syracuse is going to pull out all the stops. So Tennessee's going to I'm hot. Tennessee's going to have to exert its energy for Syracuse. Moving on, East Tennessee State University. Okay, I'm cold on that, guys. Obviously, you don't need to put out a lot of effort to beat ETSU. You should save everything that week. It's a fall out of bed victory. Tennessee should have its 5th string in there and win by 40. And actually, ETSU this year is led by Will Healy, who is in his first year, believe it or not, because ETSU head coach Trey Lamb, who was only there for a year last year, has now gotten hired at Tulsa. But Tennessee has experience playing Will Healy, if I'm not mistaken, because he was at Charlotte when Tennessee played Charlotte one year. I'm trying to remember the exact year Tennessee played Charlotte, but Tennessee has experience with Will Healy, and Will Healy was also at Austin Peay. Fall out of bed win. They don't have to exert any energy. Georgia, week 3. Hot. I'm going to tell you this right now, guys. This is their best chance at an upset win. Georgia, week 3 is their best chance of their 3 marquee games in which they're underdogs. This is their best chance to pull out a victory, particularly with Jamal McCoy fully healthy now. They get Georgia at home, Georgia with a new quarterback, Georgia breaking in some new talent, Kirby Smart maybe losing the team a little bit. I think this game at Neyland Stadium, Tennessee needs to pull out all the stops for. This is their most important game. I am very hot on this. Tennessee needs to beat Georgia and pull out all the stops. UAB, cold. They don't have to put out effort to beat UAB. Again, like ETSU, just reserve everything and just try to sleepwalk your way through that win. At Mississippi State, hot. I'm hot on this. Look, I'm sorry, but this is a dangerous game. It's right before their bye. Mississippi State, I think, will be a much better team under Jeff Lebby. In their second year, we know what Tennessee what can happen to them on the road under Josh Heupel. We know what happened with the Arkansas game last year. I know what you guys think of Mississippi State, but Mississippi State starts the year off at Southern Miss. Okay, now that's a tough game, should be a tough game. But Southern Miss is undergoing a coaching change. Even though it's on the road, Mississippi State should win that game. Then they get Arizona State at home. Guys, do not sleep on Mississippi State upsetting Arizona State at home, even though Arizona State made the playoff last year. And if that happens, Mississippi State will be 4-0 when they host Tennessee, because then they're playing Alcorn State in Northern Illinois, and they might crack the top 25. So I'm very hot on Tennessee having to put effort into this game because it's a road game, and you just can't trust Tennessee on the road. So I'm hot on that. Then comes the bye. Arkansas. All right, I know Tennessee lost to Arkansas last year. I'm cold on this, though. They'll sleepwalk their way to victory on this. They won't lose to Arkansas at home. That's still not a good team. That team was very lucky to beat Tennessee last year. They're poorly coached. There are a lot of issues. Sam Pittman gets guys to play hard for him, but in Knoxville, they don't have to exert a lot of energy. They can sleepwalk their way through that. Alabama on the road. Now, here's my hottest take of the week. I'm sorry, guys. I'm cold. They shouldn't exert a lot of energy beating Alabama. Alabama's going to be too good this year. It's on the road. It's in Tuscaloosa. And Alabama is going to be much better in Kalen DeBoer's second year. They're loaded with talent. They have a quarterback that can run the system now. I just don't think they're going to lose a game at home this year. Honestly, I think Alabama might actually. They do have Georgia, but that's on the road, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, they have Georgia on the road. So I'm pretty sure Alabama's going undefeated at home this year. Louisiana Monroe, Wisconsin, Vanderbilt, LSU, Oklahoma, Eastern Illinois. Yeah, Alabama's going undefeated at home this year. So I think, honestly, there's no real chance of Tennessee beating Alabama anyway. That's my hot take of the week, guys. You guys can hate on me on that, but that is my hot take of the week. Tennessee will not beat Alabama this year. No reason to waste energy on it. It's a road game. If it was a home game, I would speak differently, but because it's a road game, I think you should save your energy, because the next week at Kentucky, I know Tennessee owns Kentucky. I know Kentucky doesn't beat Tennessee no matter the circumstances. I'm still hot, and you having to exert your energy. Josh Heupel has had to squeak out victories against Kentucky the two times they played Kentucky on the road. In 2021, they won 48-45, and that was only because of Volontae Taylor's pick six. And then 2 years ago, Joe Milton had his most accurate game of all when Tennessee beat Kentucky 33-27. I get how people feel about Kentucky. Tennessee should blow them out, but Josh Heupel underachieves on the road. They struggle on the road, and I think they will give up. They will go all out to try to beat Tennessee. Tennessee's going to have to exert effort on that. I would exert more effort trying to beat Kentucky than Alabama if I were Tennessee this year. That's my hot take. Now, moving on. After Kentucky, Oklahoma, November the 1st. Again, I'm hot on. I don't believe in Brett Venables. I think the team could unravel by then, but they're still a dangerous team, and we saw what they did to Alabama last year in November, knocking them out of the playoffs. So Tennessee's going to have to exert energy trying to beat Oklahoma. So I'm hot on that too. Then comes New Mexico State after a bye. No, they don't have to exert energy beating New Mexico State. Save your energy, sleepwalk your way to victory, call it a day. I think that there's nothing you have to show to beat New Mexico State. However, November the 22nd at Florida. Now, unlike Alabama, this is a winnable game. So yes, they need to exert all of their energy trying to beat Florida in the Swamp. I think Florida, this would be a bad loss if they lost, because I don't think Florida's a playoff caliber team. I think they'll be better. But Tennessee's actually got to go all out to beat Florida in the Swamp. Even if Florida does fall apart under Billy Napier, Tennessee's still going to have to go all out to beat Florida. So yeah, they got to exert all their energy possible. This is a crucial game that they need to pull out all the stops to win. If they can pull out all the stops, largely because also if they pull out all the stops against Florida and run the table against all the other teams and lose the games they're underdogs in, which would be Alabama and Georgia, they're still in the playoffs. So yes, I'm hot on them having to beat Florida. And finally, Vanderbilt at home, November the 29th. Cold on it. Don't care about the Diego Pavia stuff. Vanderbilt's not going to Knoxville and winning that week. Not happening. I would spend my time recruiting that week. I would do what Philip Fulmer did back in the day and just spend that week recruiting and just accept an ugly victory. So hot or cold, brought to you by Sports Treasures. I'm going to rank the games by importance coming back after a message quickly from Sports Treasures.
Sports Treasures in North Knoxville is one of the South's largest sports cards and memorabilia dealers, featuring over 10 million sports cards from vintage to modern. Sports Treasures carries a full line of hobby boxes, singles, autographed memorabilia, Tennessee Vol collectibles, fan cave decorations, and so much more. See a museum full of collectibles at Sports Treasures, 4819 North Broadway in Fountain City, and Sports Treasures on Facebook. Sports Treasures, where the real sports fan goes to shop.
Okay, the poll question up. Tennessee's most important game, which they should exert the most effort trying to win. Georgia leads the way at 53%. Florida second at 29%. Alabama at 12%. Syracuse at 6%. I mostly agree with you guys. I would still have Syracuse ahead of Alabama. So here's me ranking the games by importance. And these are based on winnability, difficulty, all of those things. And this is ranking the games by how much they need to exert energy in each of them. Last place, ETSU. No shock there. Easiest game on the schedule. Then New Mexico State, then UAB, then Vanderbilt, then Arkansas. Those 5 are the fall out of bed victories for Tennessee this year. I'm not concerned at all. They don't need to exert any energy whatsoever. They could bring back Gaston Moore and start him a quarterback. They could start Navy Schuler. They could trot Josh Heupel back out there. They're winning those 5 games. Then is Alabama. Okay, so ETSU 12, New Mexico State 11, UAB 10, Vanderbilt 9, Arkansas 8. Alabama's the 7th most important game on the schedule this year. It is. It's more important that they run the table against those other tough teams while also making sure that they steal a game that's actually stealable. Alabama's not a stealable game. More important than Alabama is Mississippi State at number 6, since that's a road game that they could win and also could get upset on. Number 5 is Kentucky, another road game they could win, but also could be upset in. Number 4 is Oklahoma, game in Neyland Stadium, but that's a dangerous team. Number 3 is Syracuse, opening game. They could get upset that one. Number 2 is Florida, and number 1 is Georgia. Those are the most important. That's the ranking of the games on the schedule by importance.